It's one of the most coveted awards in the world that honors and recognizes the success and achievements of non-resident Indians across the globe. The Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards, powered by Global Indian International School in its 4th season, salutes the spirit of non-resident Indians from the regions of Middle East, North America, Asia Pacific and the United Kingdom. This week, we are in conversation with the winners of the Global Impact Award, actor Tamanna Bhatia, screenwriter V. Vijendra Prasad, followed by the winner of India's Global Icon, A.S. Kiran Kumar.
Welcome to the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by the Global Indian International School. And I'm in conversation with the winner of India's Global Icon Award and the chairman of Indian Space Research Organization, A.S. Kiran Kumar. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So to kick things off, where do we stand as a country when it comes to space science?
Yeah, in fact, in space science, what India has done over the years has been quite phenomenal, because India has made use of space technology when it became available in the late 50s and has gained a position globally as one of the foremost countries which has brought in the use of space technology for the benefit of the society and the common man. And you can say globally we are recognized as almost #1 in this arena of application of space technology for the society. And in terms of the technology development itself, it stays in different levels. In terms of satellite technology or the launch vehicle technology, if you look at, today we have a large number of satellites providing Earth observation, communication and navigation capabilities to the country. And in terms of launch vehicle, we have a Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which is recognized as one of the foremost launchers, providing opportunity for all small satellite manufacturers in the world. And we have just got into the cryogenic engine technology, and we have brought in a couple of launch vehicles which are capable of putting us into the geostationary for communication activities.
When it comes to satellite launches, launching satellites that have the capability to observe activity here on Earth, where do we stand in comparison to our global counterparts?
Yeah, in terms of the satellites which are available for observation, we have been able to build a set of remote sensing satellite which gives us capability to look at Earth and look at the cyclone formation and providing for weather information, not only for our country, but also we are providing ocean wind vector information to the international community, weather community for numerical weather forecast modeling. So we have a number of satellites which are providing this. And in terms of the launcher itself, if you look at, we have built one of the very unique launch vehicle called Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which recently saw 39th consecutively successful mission. And with this launcher, we are in a position to put satellites into different Earth orbits, and at the same time, it also can do in a single launch multiple satellites. And as you are aware, that we recently had 104 satellites in one go, which is one of the unique capabilities that we have built in a launcher for low Earth orbiting satellites.
And how do we drive a committed effort towards commercializing these satellite launches?
Yeah, this is one of the very important aspects, because over the years what we have been trying to do is build a capacity to meet the national requirements. But as the capacity available can be utilized for not only just our national use, but also for commercial use, we have been able to provide the excess capacity to the international community. And this we have been successfully doing. And what we are now looking at is increasing the frequency at which we are doing the launch. And as you would have noticed in the recent past, the number of launches we have increased. And we are also now looking at building a joint venture with a commercial entity or industrial entities, or by 2020 we expect a joint venture with the industries to actually launch our PSLV from Sriharikota. So we are moving ahead with making the industries enabled for such activities.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about a manned space station. How does India stand to benefit from putting forth such an effort?
Yeah, currently if you look at in terms of our priorities, we still have a significant amount of backlog to catch up. The kind of information that we need to provide, the kind of communication connectivity we need to provide, and also the kind of navigational requirement that we need to provide. We still have to build a capacity in terms of the number of satellites in operation. Currently the priority is not in terms of the space station or manned mission. But in terms of enabling such an activity for future, we continue to work on R&D elements which will help us, because we have done, for example, space recovery experiment, capsule care module, and then we are also going to do a number of activities which will help us at a point in future. But at this point of time, our greater priority is ensuring communication, navigation, and remote sensing activities to be supported in a greater domain.
And how do we leverage the community of NRIs across the diaspora to further our own space agenda as a country?
Yeah, definitely one of the things we need to look at is one of the key activities what ISRO has been doing is building capacity within the country, whether it is in the industrial area or in terms of the academic institution, and in a similar manner, by looking at the capability that exists among the Indians across the globe, there will definitely be a significant opportunities to work with them and make use of their knowledge and skills and enhance the capability that we are going to build. Because ultimately what we are looking at is, and what right from the beginning Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who started this program of space in India, what his intention was how to make use of space technology for the benefit of the country. Now in the same way, we can make use of the knowledge and the skills of the Indians across the globe and improve on our ability not only to do from space looking at Earth and doing the activity, but from space looking beyond and doing the activities. Because today space as a new frontier is bringing up a huge dimension, new dimension, whether it is space adventure, space tourism, space travel, space exploration. It's like a new frontier. So in this we definitely need all the inputs that can go into Indian capability in space.
And how could we put forth a more committed effort to encourage youth to pursue careers in this field?
Yeah, for that also we are continuously looking at different mechanisms, and recently, for example, one of the outreach facilities which we opened in Hyderabad, where we are providing all the data that is available from our space program and then computational facility, and at that location they will have free access to all this information and they can come up with solutions, and once they are satisfied with the product they have come out, they can go out and get into the operations. So similarly, in terms of meteorological data, we are trying to provide capability for the Indian institutions. And one more thing probably I would like to bring in this is, one of the satellites what we built, AstroSat, we made use of the Indian academic institutions like Tata Institute of Fundamental Research or Indian Institute of Astrophysics or Indian Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. We enabled them to build instruments, and today AstroSat is considered as one of the foremost observatories in space, a unique capability that is there. So what we have been trying to do is make use of all the opportunities available to enable capacity within the country, whether it is in academic institutions or in the industry.
Sir, thank you so much for your time, and we of course wish you continued success.
Thank you very much.
It's time for a short break, but up next, the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by the Global Indian International School, continues. Don't go anywhere. The Bahubali film franchise is the winner of the Global India Impact Award, and we're in conversation with its screenwriter, the legendary K.V. Vijayendra Prasad. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Sir, now you've penned the scripts for Bahubali alongside Bajrangi Bhaijaan in the same time frame, and these genres couldn't be any more different. So how does a screenwriter such as yourself get in the zone and then switch gears so seamlessly?
Suppose you've got a master chef. You mean to say he can only cook biryani. He can do several things. He can do fried rice, biryani, sweets and all those things. So a good story writer should be able to do different genres. It's very easy to switch from one to another actually. As you pursue, it's a very tough thing. No, it's not like that. Whatever that sits our imagination is a good story material.
You've penned over 25 scripts in your career, most of which have gone on to become major blockbuster films, be it in Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and now Hindi cinema. You've broken the language barriers. What's the key to achieving this sort of audience connect?
You see, writing a story is the simplest job in making a movie. It's the simplest thing. Actually, it doesn't cost anything to write a story, but then everything happens afterwards. The most important person is the director, who can understand the vision of the writer and how to paint it on the satellite, literally paint it. So for that, you should have cooperation of so many other key departments like music, camera, art, special effects, fights, dances. Unless he has got little expertise in all those departments, it's very difficult to craft them. And at the same time, you should be able to how to get the very good human resources management. The director should be. So a writer will be lucky if he can get that director. Fortunately, most of my stories are made by my son, Rajmohan. We have good rapport. So in one way that has become possible.
So your son has, of course, directed the Bahubali series. What's it like to collaborate with him and perhaps occasionally even clash with him when it comes to taking creative calls?
You see, just like biggest banyan tree starts with the smallest seed, that's how the Bahubali saga has started. One fine day, he said, "Father, I want to direct a movie with Prabhas." Fine, give a story, fine. And he gave me certain parameters. It should be costume drama, because I like fights. And in the modern era, I can't use swords. And with guns, it's not the person's capacity that decides the war, the bigger firepower. I don't want that. So naturally, I'm going for a costume drama. First thing is decided. Second thing, I want lady characters, female characters should have soul, I mean the power. They are not just bimbos to go around the tree singing duet songs. And they should play equally important role as the male protagonists. And most important is, they said, I want grey characters. So give me a story to those parameters. So believe me, a second or third day, that Kattappa character struck me. Of course, they never know Kattappa, the name was not given at that time. What the incident I told him was, the old man, about 80 years old man, is teaching swordsmanship to young boys. A traveler from foreign countries has come, has seen it. He was so impressed, terribly impressed with the swordsmanship. Wow, sir, I think you're the greatest swordsman is on the face of the earth. Then the old man gave him a surprised look. Up your life, hey? Yes, I'm outside the country. Oh, that's why you never had the name of Bahubali. And he is intrigued. Who is Bahubali? And then he reminisces, me and Bahubali, we are very close. One day we were going in the forest. We were surrounded by bands of about 200 people. And I was fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Then I thought maybe this is how Abhimanyu must have fought in the Mahabharata. For one moment, I forgot fighting. An arrow has come pierced me. This is the mark. There's a mark on the skin. And after some time, hearing the death of Abhimanyu, this is how Arjuna must have fought. That's how I thought of fighting him. Again, one for a moment, I stopped fighting and an arrow has pierced me. In the evening setting sun, he was just like a Rudra with Raktabhishek. His body is full of blood. Believe me, not even a single blood is his. It's all enemies. The child was so impressed. Oh my God, oh my God. I want to see him. I want to see him. Where is he? Sorry, he's dead. How? In a battle. Just as we said, nobody can make an injury on his body. How is it possible that he dies in a battle? He said, backstabbing is more powerful than a sword is thing. I backstabbed him. I killed him. That's the character I told him. And looking at the glitter in the eyes, I saw he's hooked. Second and third day, another scene I narrated to him. A mother with a just born baby, she's crossing a river. Suddenly the river started rising up. She was trying to look for something to hold. There's a dead tree in the middle of the river. She held it, but the water going up and up and up and up. So she found, she realized that she's going to die. So praying to God, she lifted the baby like that. She submerged, but saving the baby. So a couple of more scenes I told him. Then one fine day I said, Papa, I like all these scenes. Let's make a VV story around it. So we used to sit together. I used to tell something and something and something. He used to pick whichever he liked. And that's how the stories evolved.
Sir, what do films like Bahubali do with respect to putting Indian cinema on the global map?
2 or 3 things happened. First of all, the region cinema has broken the barriers. Till Bahubali, all Southern pictures were classified as South Indian movies. Many times, you see, before that, when I was narrating a story, the producers and directors, sir, this got soft flavor, sir. No, sir, we don't, it doesn't, oh, nahi chalta Bombay mein. Tell me something different, something different. And Bahubali made everybody shut up, simply shut up. Nobody knows Prabhas here, nobody knows Rajmouli here, except Rajmouli is known, some of the few people in the film circle will know, not the public. And nobody knows Anushka, nobody knows who is it. Phenomenal success. It is proved again and again and again. The story is the most important thing.
So we're always very curious to understand how a writer's mind works, their source of inspiration, right? And the sheer breadth and depth of their imagination. Is it something you have to work on, or does it come to you naturally?
I am a harshest critic. If a thought comes to me, I will try it. Has it ever occurred before? Has anybody written? To my knowledge, did anybody write a movie, write a novel on it? If it is the slightest connection to anything, I'll just discard it. I'll try to experiment something new. I don't like going in the beaten path.
And sir, your thoughts on how the perception of Indian cinema is changing worldwide?
Thank God to Bahubali and now recently Dangal. You are breaking the barriers of international movie. I'm very happy to celebrate them. Now it has opened the gates for Indian movie. You imagine, and there people are ready to receive it. All the while we are afraid to experiment. I'm sure there are very, people with innovative ideas, people with money, people with the capacity to direct, but all of them, they were little hesitant to experiment. Now they know for certainty. If you have the imagination and somebody has the backing and there is proper person to put it on the celluloid, yes, sky is the limit.
Sir, thank you so much for making the time for us and for those inspiring words.
Thank you for calling me. Pleasure is mine.
The Bahubali film series is the winner of the Global India Impact Award, and we're in conversation with one of its female leads, Tollywood and Bollywood superstar, Tamanna Bhatia. Thank you for joining us. Now, you've of course played the role of a warrior princess, Avantika, in the Bahubali film series, which is nothing like what you've done previously. How did you prepare for this role of a lifetime?
I think that's the strange part, when you have a role of, of your life and you don't actually know of the fact that it's going to completely change everything that's going to happen after that in your career. Of course, when I got onto Bahubali, I knew it was a film that, probably will be the biggest South Indian film that will be churned out, because it was a regional film at the time we were making it. But I don't think I could have fathomed the impact it had in the Hindi film industry as well as globally. So yeah, it's a dream come true for any actor. The kind of records it has broken, that is something that I don't think anybody could have imagined, that it is going to break so many records. But yeah, feel really proud and feel really lucky to be a part of a project like that.
Now, the Indian box office is quite complex, with several competing dynamics in play. So in multi-layered, multilingual India, how does a film like Bahubali achieve such universal success?
you know, it's a big mystery for even filmmakers and people who work in the industry. What is that formula that works, and what is that one thing that we must do to make a film work? And apparently nobody's kind of figured it all out. It's just, I think, a genuine attempt to tell a story. At the end, films are a director's medium. So eventually a director should have a story to tell that would grip people. It could be of any genre, so it's not essential that a particular genre sells more than the other. So I think eventually it's the director and the storytelling aspect of it, which is the most important. Of course, as actors, as 24 crafts that work to make a film, because eventually film's also a teamwork. So that matters as well, but I don't think we'll ever be able to crack that code. In the case of Bahubali, I think what really worked for it was the fact that it was not larger than life for the heck of being larger than life. The story required, the portrayal to be larger than life, and hence when people saw those visuals being, interwoven in a story, I think the amalgamation of the two is what really worked for the audience, because the visual was absolutely new. Content that we were giving out was also somewhat unpredictable for the audience, because it's a period film. In period, it's fantasy. It's not even, it's long, long ago in an imaginary place called Maheshmati. So, I think the fact that there was so much of unpredictability about this film, people didn't know what to expect out of it. I think that's what worked for the film.
Now, beyond being a success of epic box office proportions, Bahubali is described as a cinematic celebration. How would you categorize, classify its impact beyond the numbers?
I think, when I move out and I, just interact with people, I see that it's become a mania. It's not just a film. It's not something that people feel that Bahubali is their own. Everybody seems to associate with it in some way or the other. And I also feel intrinsically this film has reached out to such a large audience because of it having very strong female characters. I mean, we cannot undermine that. In today's time and age, when we talk about women empowerment, or we talk about how women are strong, I think films need to portray that at some level. And I think Bahubali had very, very strong female characters in the first part as well as the second part. The effect that it's had on this large section of the audience is kind of undescribable in a way, for the fact that it's gone beyond a movie, and I think it's even gone beyond a franchise. And yeah, it's lovely to see people coming up to me and saying that they've seen the film innumerable times, and they every time they watch it, they still have the same excitement. And the fact that the second part did even better than the first part in terms of the box office collections only proved to show that the first part had left such an impact that even after 2 years, people just were waiting to see what Bahubali the part 2 is going to look like.
So when you originally read the script and signed on for the film, could you have predicted the sheer magnitude of its success?
Not at all. It was, in fact, I never had Rajamouli sir narrating the story to me, and I was definitely surprised at the scale at which he was pitching it. Honestly, I couldn't imagine it even while I was shooting, because we used to shoot with green mat many a times. So behind there is no backdrop, it's just a green mat. Of course, with lavish sets, with beautiful sets. Yet when I first saw the visuals, say of the Dhivara song, or visuals of the waterfall and stuff, this was just, I think even as actors, being a part of the film, having gone through the process of filming, we still couldn't understand what it's going to look like. So I can only imagine how the audience felt watching it.
Now, when it comes to slipping into a role and preparing for a role, how collaborative is the process, and how was it specifically in the case of Bahubali, a film of such a multitude of characters that has shot for so many months? How do you maintain the magic?
I think in the case of Bahubali, the entire credit for each and every person's characterization and the in-depth analysis would definitely go to Rajamouli sir, because he worked a lot in pre-production. Many films we don't get the opportunity to spend so much time for pre-production, because that's not how we in general work in India. We don't actually spend as much time as it was spent in the case of Bahubali, especially because it's a period film and it had a lot of elements, it had a lot of, every arena needed to be worked in a lot of detail, because you can't come on set and figure that out, it's not possible. So first of all, that entire credit goes to Rajamouli sir for doing such an in-depth research and work around it. As an actor, for me, my maximum interaction was with Rajamouli sir. He's a man who just describes things in a very simple fashion. In fact, I think the more complicated concept he attempts, when he approaches you with it, he simplifies it so beautifully that you don't actually take the pressure of the scale. The scale never even comes to your mind. It's only only the emotion and the technique and the stuff that you need to really focus on. He brings that to your table, and it's also done for you. I think it was much easier for me to work for a film like Bahubali because there was so much research already done on it that I didn't have to actually put in so much of my head or my brain. It was more for me to go as deep as possible into it and make it as believable, because it's a world that is absolute fantasy.
Now, for so many individuals outside the Indian diaspora, Bahubali is their first taste of Indian cinema. So what can our country's filmmakers do to continue to recreate that magic and live up to these newly established expectations?
I think that's the thing. We cannot actually recreate magic. It never happens. In fact, whenever people have attempted to want to recreate something in cinema, because it's art, it's not something that you can't try to recreate it. In fact, we need to always start afresh. Even for me as an actor, I can't actually carry the baggage of a successful film, however successful it is, to my next, because I need to start afresh and sometimes unlearn certain things to be able to attempt a new project. So I think the only thing I could say to people who love movies, who make movies, is that we have to keep tabbing something we intrinsically believe in, because I'm sure that's what Rajamouli sir did, and have faith in what you really believe in.
Tamanna, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you.
Well, that brings the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by the Global Indian International School, to a close. We'll see you next time.